In 2012, Marvel Studios had an idea to bring together a remarkable group of people to fight the battles that we never could. The Avengers, the predecessor to Age of Ultron from 2015. Exactly 10 years ago, the Avengers brought together this group of people from the previous 5 Marvel movies in a cinematic event so powerful, it broke $1 billion. This movie was big. I remember the excitement that was building up to the release of it, despite not knowing who any of the actors were at the time. I only knew Iron Man as a goatee guy, which is wild to think, especially since it feels like I've had this poster forever. The Avengers was the movie you just had to see, and when it released on DVD, it was the movie you just had to buy. Mine stops halfway through, and since this movie is now on Disney Plus, it ultimately amounts to a bit in a YouTube video. Since today is the exact 10-year anniversary of the movie, it is a perfect day to look back at the simpler times. So, before you watch Multiverse and the Doctor Strange of Madness, it's time to stop procrastinating and revisit the match that lit the fire. The Avengers starts like any other ambitious superhero project. Exposition. Your normal stuff, just some faceless aliens threatening the demise of humans, nothing special. I gotta say, there is something about the opening to the Avengers that consistently holds the feeling of, this is real, this is really happening. Our journey begins with Nick Fury at a S.H.I.E.L.D. base where they have been doing some experiments with the Tesseract. These experiments lead to, hopefully, finding a source of unlimited energy. Not really possible, but it's a comic book movie, so sure. The catalyst is that the Tesseract is being a brat and misbehaving, becoming more and more unstable by the second. So, naturally, who does Nick Fury call in to help with an unstable cube of pure energy? Oh my god, it's Hawkeye! They come to the conclusion that since the Tesseract is a glorified portal and doors open from both sides, someone is trying to come through. Disappointing news considering that this is the opposite of what they want, which is why it makes perfect sense that the man on the other end is the man who would know a thing or two about cosmic disappointments. What? Hawkeye? No, that's a gun. Loki returns as the main antagonist. His motivation is that he wants to rule Earth because it was 2012 and villains were just starting to be complex. He believes that free will is a lie and humans were meant to be ruled over, so he has stepped in to fill that role. Yeah, and he fights Captain America in this movie. Symbolism is so clear I could trade it with cartographers. Loki is in full villain mode in this movie, which is a little bit inconsistent with how he is in other movies, and of course, Loki, where he goes from a mass murderer to a boy scared of having a crush on a girl in like the span of a week. There are a couple running theories as to why Loki is like this. One of the most popular being is that he is under control of the Mind Stone. Massive cop-out. It's my headcanon that they just needed a villain and did not account that there would be a 6-episode show dedicated to his personality. Speaking of which, I think they addressed this in the assembled episode of Loki, where their explanation was that after Thor, he was just in a dark place where the only options were die or survive. And to aid him in his survival, Loki takes over the minds of a couple people from S.H.I.E.L.D., including, Hawkeye fans really had nothing back then. The Tesseract is surging, which is causing the entire S.H.I.E.L.D. base to crumble. To make a quick escape, Hawkeye shoots Nick Fury. Oh no! I hope he doesn't die. Loki is able to overpower all of S.H.I.E.L.D. very easily, taking the Tesseract, its lead scientist, and the absolute best Avenger. He leaves it in ruins, giving Fury no other option but to officially say, we are at war. There it is. The title card that defined a generation. God, that's so much better than Age of Ultron's. The next character we follow is Black Widow. What is going on here? Woman in a dress. Classic Joss Whedon. Honestly, can't say I'm surprised. I 100% saw this coming. I am becoming quite uncomfortable, so I'm just gonna speed this up. Coulson calls and threatens to blow up the building, as if that wouldn't just kill Black Widow too. She learns of Barton and what is startin', so she beats the crap out of these fools and dips, being tasked with finding the big guy, which of course is none other than... Wait a second, that's not Edward Norton. Natasha lures Banner into a trap where she confronts him about the idea of joining the operation. Definitely the thing you want to do with this guy. Despite being tasked with collecting the big guy, Natasha is just here to get the science side of the equation, hoping Banner can help find the Tesseract. He agrees, without causing too much of a scene, of course. There are federal agents outside my house. Next, we hit the gym where Goody Two-Shoes is cycling through his PTSD, which includes the MacGuffin that Fury is here to talk to him about. I remember when him getting a second punching bag was like the funniest thing ever. Cap is already not happy being pulled out of time, so his response to the cosmic brick is that they should have left it in the ocean. Maybe Stark would have come across it on a search to find a power source big enough to power his ego. Speaking of needing to find the right fit, apparently Stark isn't. I don't know, I don't remember Iron Man 2, something about not playing well with others. Stark gets handed a new homework assignment that gives the rundown of the other potential candidates, and you can see footage of the Incredible Hulk, proving that it is a real movie that does in fact exist. While Captain America is making up his mind on what outfit he wants to wear tonight, Loki dives into into his to find out what corporate wants from him. You know, I think the Avengers still carries a bit of that goofy superhero movie from like the 2000s, because this guy, the Other is what he's called, he's acted a bit whack. He's as threatening as someone who thinks they're winning an online argument. Anyways, the dude tells Loki that if he fails, they'll cut his hours and make him work Christmas. Big day for S.H.I.E.L.D., the super secret boy band is meeting for the first time. Their base of operations for this movie is a helicarrier, because the absolute safest place for them to be is in a giant vehicle in the sky. I get the juxtaposition here. It's a boat that flies. What's next? A city that flies? Continuing the trend of meetups, what they have of the Avengers go to intercept not Kate Bishop and Guy Silvey on a supply run in Germany. Loki gives his spiel on why he should rule humanity. But this is where things start to get a little bit iffy. Loki's reasoning is that freedom is a lie, and a mad scramble for power is what plagues humanity, and that they are wrong for trying to find identity. One problem is that not why Loki is doing any of this to find identity. Isn't the whole reason he is here is because he feels he deserves to rule, to be a king? Contradicts a little. His own words shot back at him, much like his attacks. Wait, are they gonna fire on Loki with all those people still there? Cap and Loki get into a short tussle that ends when Stark finally makes up his mind and decides to join the battle. And from there, they're on their way to take him back to the helicarrier, because, yeah, take the dangerous man to your base of operations. But then they run into a little divine intervention. Thor! Pre-17 Thor, specifically, which basically means he's not as funny. Thor only wants one thing. For Loki to give up this poisonous dream and end his power-hungry reign on Earth and go home. Loki, of course, disagrees, since he feels like all he is a shadow to Thor. But before he could get any answers out of Loki, Thor gets interrupted. This is when everyone butts heads. Stark sees Thor as in the way of them getting to the Tesseract, and Thor was just challenged, so he'll fight. And in this whole battle between these two, Loki doesn't try to escape. Like, not once. It's almost like he wanted to be captured or something. Cap steps in to break up the school fight, and this is when the big money shot happens. Thor drops a hammer and clashes with Cap's shield, leveling a forest. Man, that'd be useful in Minecraft. Now, Loki is in a time cell, and we have almost all of the Avengers. We're getting there. We're only missing Hawkeye, just like in 2018. They're trying to figure out Loki's play and how to get the upper hand with the Tesseract, but in order to do that, they need to find it, of course. The uncertainty of the situation is what ultimately leads a couple stragglers like Tony and Steve to search for more than just the cube. They begin to entertain the idea that S.H.I.E.L.D. is more than what they say, and begin to find more than just the food RDJ hit around said. But why sneak around for clues when you could get straight to the point? Or more accurately, buy to the point, given that Black Widow quite literally has a sit-down talk with Loki about Clint. I like how Loki is all like, is this love, Agent Romanoff? Dude, you risk the entire fate of the multiverse because you thought some girl was cute. You have no room to speak here. Red Yelena goes to talk about the debt she has with Clint. The story we always hear about, but we've never actually seen. Budapest. And yes, I'm aware of the line regarding the Black Widow movie, I'm just still in denial. Loki seizes the opportunity to take the relationship between the two and turn it into fear, vividly describing how, leading Black Widow to freak out and call him a monster. Only for Loki to reveal that he is not the only monster in this scenario. But wait, get juked! It was a setup, and now she knows his card. Black Widow gives the weekend update to the rest of the team, but unfortunately that's not the most exciting news to be had that day. Goody Captain Shoes finds a box that has Hydra weapons and reveals that Phase 2 is S.H.I.E.L.D. making weapons out of the Tesseract. Sorry, the computer was a little slow for me. Wait, I thought Phase 2 was getting the rights to Quicksilver. This brings the Avengers into an argument. Wow, how surprising. They start to point fingers at Fury and his secrets. Well, except for Black Widow, because, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and, I'm guessing Hawkeye wouldn't either, but I don't know because he's not here. Fury buckles almost immediately and reveals that the weapons exist because of Thor. Racially motivated. You know, because he's Asgardian. I know that explaining the joke makes it unfunny, but that video is 16,000 views and dang near 1,000 comments. I'm not doing that again. This leads the Avengers to start to deal with more personal problems, and that's fine. Cap and Stark can't seem to agree, but let's be honest, when will they ever? Cap says that Stark is a self-centered man pretending to be a hero, and Stark says that everything special about Cap came out of a bottle. Except the unactable charisma that got him cast, of course. You know what would really get the Avengers to work as a team, though? The threat of death. Hey, Clint Barton! He's back again! I really do not understand how people call him useless. He took out an entire engine with a single arrow. I am genuinely confused how people ignore this. This one arrow was enough to cause enough commotion for Bruce to turn into the Hulk. Man, if all it takes is a little stress to become the Hulk, then I would always be angry. Loki's plan is now in action. Cap and Stark go out to fix the engine, and the whole thing is played out like a Lego game. No wonder it adapted so well. Speaking of which, this section in LEGO Avengers was terrible. I hated it. I kept falling. Thor comes out of nowhere to fight the Hulk in the same fashion the Hulk comes out of nowhere to fight Thor in Ragnarok. No way! Thor is the strongest Avenger because not even the Hulk could lift the hammer, I said to my fellow third graders, completely unaware of Odin's curse. I still think Thor is the strongest, and no YouTube comment will change that. Cap is waiting for his co-workers to do their parts when bad guys number 43 and 15 show up. What exactly was that grenade supposed to do? I like how he flies down and hits this guy like he has the acrophobia skull in Halo 3. The scene represents Cap's insecurity with modern guns, given he clearly does not care for their lives. That is the only reason he is aiming like he put the sensitivity to 10. I hate to keep ratting on the LEGO game, I really do, but this boss fight also sucked. With another arrow, Clint is able to shut down the second engine. This makes him the next priority for the Avengers, and since Black Widow wasn't slapped into oblivion, she's able to respond. Thor confronts Loki, but after 1,000 years, still falls for the same tricks. I respect the commitment. If the son of Odin can't catch him, then the son of Cole will. I genuinely believe that Coulson is one of the best characters in the MCU. This man has a drive to stand up to a god with a weapon he doesn't even understand. Unfortunately, Loki is mostly one step ahead, but before he goes, Coulson reminds him of one thing. He won't win. It's not something that's ever in his cards. There's a certain passion and sense of integrity that Coulson has that few people in the MCU have repeated. He believed in the idea of heroes, and now he is the driving force behind them. I can't believe I forgot to put this in the script, but yeah, Hawkeye and Black Widow fight for a little bit until she slaps him into a pole, knocking him unconscious. Joke. This is when that age-old line is said. The remarkable group of people. This is the absolute lowest point the Avengers are in. They just lost Coulson, Loki has gotten away, and their team has been shattered and scattered, like my hopes of getting a Doctor Strange poster. Fury throws down a bloody set of good two-shoes trading cards. Another symbol of how much Coulson believed in that idea. Finally, some color in a Joss Whedon film! That's a joke. Yeah, that's a... Hey, Clint Barton, he's back again. When it comes to being used as a puppet for those above him, he's stacking it. Black Widow has also experienced that, so at least he has someone to talk to about it. Must be terrible to be disrespected that hard. Man, imagine that. Cap and Stark then discuss Loki's next plan of action. Stark tries to find exploits in his self-centered behavior. Takes one to know one, you know. Quite literally, as it's Stark's tower that Loki saw fit to be the beacon of his invasion. This is when the goosebumps begin. All of the Avengers get back their bearings as they prepare to confront Loki on top of Stark Tower. Turns out that those cards that Coulson had weren't taken from his jacket, but instead his locker. And I cannot have been the only person that thought this meant that Coulson survived and got up and then put his cards back. The first one there is Stark in his busted suit, so he needs a new one, but that's not going to happen yet because this movie needs more tension. He is 100% stalling, but in this bit we find out Loki's staff doesn't work because Tony is credited first. Loki figures the next best thing is to defenestrate Tony. Unfortunately for him, Stark built his tower just tall enough for an entire Iron Man suit to dramatically build itself around him before he hit the ground. Wow, that was actually kind of cool. He almost became my third favorite Avenger there. The portal activates, and there is no way to stop it because we still got 40 minutes left. So, we're gonna have to fight this one out. No, don't fly towards the portal, you're gonna get PTSD! Is it really a Joss Whedon movie if it doesn't randomly focus on a nameless person that adds absolutely nothing to the plot and has zero relevance to anything going on? In other news, I remembered Thor was in this movie. Wow, that's a first. He's done reasoning, he's just throwing hands now. Loki doesn't get paid enough for this. Hey, man, you aren't supposed to remove that. The alien guys continue to lead a rampage on New York, taking out secret items like the Dr. Pepper and hot dog cart. They really have no shame. Which leads Cap to try and establish order and create game plans on how to handle the situation. The scene is just not the same without the audience laughing. It feels empty. A lot of this movie rides on the wow factor. The Avengers is an interactive experience, and only when you're sitting here alone trying to come up with funny ways to describe Thor, you see just how much is missing. The Avengers do great for parties, which is why there's one being brought to them currently. Banner has arrived, and it's his turn to show off. Right now would be a really good time for you to get angry. That's my secret, Cap. I'm always depressed. Wait, no. Oh my, no, oh, no way! They're standing in a circle! Have the Avengers assembled? Anyway, Cap starts to give orders. Turn it back or turn it to ash. Eyes in the sky. Light him up. You stay on the ground with me, and of course, Hulk, smash. I remember arguing with classmates about whether or not it was Captain America or Iron Man that was the leader of the Avengers. It's Cap, clearly. He told the Hulk what to do. No one tells the Hulk what to do. During the battle, the movie has a one-shot of all the Avengers, and I've always just liked this scene. I wish more Marvel movies had scenes like this. Like, Age of Ultron had one, but it was in the beginning, and I hate the beginning. It's about this time when S.H.I.E.L.D. is notified that the higher-ups plan to nuke the city. I completely forgot about S.H.I.E.L.D. I will be honest. I don't even get the logic behind a nuke. Like, they'll just come back. Like, just wait. Speaking of which, Black Widow found her way up to the reactor, so now she's going to try and knock the portal out of the sky, the same way Hawkeye did to Loki. I like how they both did the hair flip. It's like when they insulted the Happy Meal. Haha, yes! Hulk did the thing. Entertainment. Wait, this is it! This is Hawkeye! This scene, Kate Bishop is somewhere here! She is seeing this! But what she maybe didn't see is that this is the turning point in the battle. The Avengers are beginning to be overwhelmed, and that nuke is on its way. I've never understood the nuke thing in this movie. Even as a dumb 10-year-old that had yet to understand and make jokes about this movie's tension, I always thought it was weird. Like, think about it. The biggest challenge the Avengers have to overcome right now, when they start to lose, isn't even Loki. It's some random thing that the movie just threw at us. At them. And I'm gonna be honest, from this point, I think the Avengers has the biggest cop-out in all of the MCU. So first, Dr. Selvig, which if you remember is in this movie, magically remembers working on the Nether portal, and it turns out that he built in an off switch, Loki's scepter, so now Black Widow has a tool to shut the portal down whenever she wants. And then there's Iron Man, who grabs the nuke and flies into the portal. How is he falling in space? No, not important. The nuke hits the mothership and all of the aliens just die. They all turn off. From a lore standpoint, the Chitauri being a non-organic species, sure, yeah, it makes sense. But the Avengers, they pushed a button. Just a little underwhelming. Anyway, Cap makes the call to close the portal because losing Stark in space is better than losing the entire city to the blast. But he just barely makes it through. If only Hulk was in Civil War. Wait, I just realized Rhodey isn't in this movie. It took me 10 years to realize. We won? Loki is still horribly injured, and the Avengers take advantage of that and arrest him. But not before he takes up the drink offer from earlier. Not a great plan. They really could not care less about what this man says. Except Tony, because, you know, he was there. He gets the joke. Hey, if it makes one person laugh. And then the Avengers become world heroes and make $1 billion. With Loki being taken back to Asgard, they all go their separate paths. Until the sequel. What a massive... That's not the next line. Hawkeye and Black Widow have always been my favorites, so it absolutely bothers me that to this day, 10 full years later, we still have no idea what she said to him. We don't even know what happened in Budapest. We really had nothing back then. What a massive convenience that the only letter left was the letter A. Also, there is this post-credit scene that weird space guy is back, explaining that the humans are now dangerous. Challenging them is like challenging death. And it's revealed that he's talking to none other than Thanos. A very, very early Thanos that is red and human-sized for some reason. And that's it. That's the Avengers. Remember to pick up your popcorn, and I'll see you back here on Memorial Day. The Avengers is a solid movie, and a good foundation to build a childhood off of. I think it's fun to look back and see just how far these movies have come. 10 years ago, these characters were just starting to work together, and now they're all outshined by a mentally crippled witch. I'll be honest, I don't have much of an outro. I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about already. I mean, I could say how I didn't like that Hawkeye was a villain for most of the movie, but I think I made that clear enough to the point where I can make Emerald a profit. I'm just glad that this video didn't take 4 months to make like last time. On that note, I want to thank you all for watching. And I think there's really only one thing left to say. If you liked the video, unsubscribe. If you hated it, smash that like button. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go watch the entirety of WandaVision before tomorrow. See you in 2015.